What's going on, guys? It's your boy Lazio Close It, and we have another episode of the Kicking Cleats pod. I'm with my special guest here, Julia. Mezza bellezza, mezza puttana. What are you gonna do? It is what it is. So, guys, I gotta say that this weekend was crucial for Serie A. So even Julia's excited. She loves her Serie A. I think her favorite team is the team that we're gonna talk about, Atalanta. Yes, Atalanta has been killing it this season. I know that I've been saying it since the beginning of the season, since its start, that Atalanta will finish second. Yes, this season, this transfer window for them has been really tough. They did lose some players over this window. They didn't really buy what they wanted to. They did get Retegui, which he's been on fire. I think it's 12 games, 12 goals, something like that. He's averaging a goal a game, and he's just been crazy, crazy good this season. I think it's safe to say that he's our new number 9 for Italia. I mean, another big test. I know she's getting a little excited there, but another big test for us is that he's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy for Italy. We'll wait to see to the next international match, but I think Spalletti is kind of, he's intrigued. He's convinced that this guy is going to be our guy, right? Atlanta Napoli, what a game this was. I mean, 3-0 for Atlanta. We thought that Napoli was going to push a little bit because seeing, at home and they're playing with their new crisp kits. They revealed their third kit. It's kind of like a Last Samurai kind of deal. But if you look at between the two guys, the two lineups here, it's really inseparable. I mean, it's really very close, but didn't really look up that at the field as Atlanta kill Napoli 3-0. Two beautiful goals by Lookman, which I wouldn't be surprised if Lookman is getting tracked by Barca, Real. Over the summer, he's been tracked going back to Germany to play for Bayern Munich. So I wouldn't be surprised if next summer he's going to be tracked again. And I wouldn't be surprised if he actually moves. I mean, this past window, he did want to leave. There's some tension between him and Nono Gasparini, which, I mean, nowadays, who wouldn't want to fight with Nono Gasparini? My nonna hates Nono Gasparini. The guy is just such an old prune, but I got to give him some props. I mean, he's really kind of gave them that team more life. I mean, after Zapata's left and a lot of big names have left that team, he's given them life with with his stupid formation, the 3-5-2. He loves playing three in the back, and he kind of switches up a little bit. But at the end of the day, he always plays three in the back and stuff like that. And I think that this is a team where, again, they're going to finish second regardless. I mean, they could pick up some guys during the transfer window in January. But I think that Gasparini's really kind of putting this team to the top, right? And I think that the sea maiden of the seed or the siren or whatever you want to call it could maybe potentially win the Scudetto. You mean you never know. Like Inter's not Inter anymore. Inter, after watching this Venezia game, which by the way, with this Venezia game and Inter, craziness. I'll get to that to a second. But sticking with Inter, they're not the same Inter. They look kind of lost. I don't know. Martinez, yes, he did score that goal today, but I don't know. He just feels lost. And again, there's another prediction that I made before the window or the transfer season has started that Martinez isn't going to be the Golden Boot winner. It's going to be Retegui. It's just I think he's kind of fallen out of grace a little bit over the window and this past season here. And look at Julia. I mean, she's not even convinced with Martinez. She doesn't like Martinez at all. Anytime I talk about Inter or anything like that, she doesn't like it. But if I talk about Atlanta, look at her. She's all happy. She's all happy for Atlanta, right? Um, so yeah, we'll see with Atlanta again. Right now, they are sitting at third. After they played in Napoli, they're sitting at second. I know it's a little short stint, but again, and it's still early. I mean, I could be really, really wrong. But my two predictions for the Serie A season: Atlanta finishing second, and Retegui is going to be obvious. He's going to win the Golden Boot. I don't care what anybody says. You could get a little bit of injured and stuff like that. Maybe a missed couple games. Maybe have a little dip in January, February, maybe March. But I think closing up the Serie A season, he's going to be the top guy for sure. Um, and Julia, again, she's going to be wearing an Atlanta jersey anytime soon because her love is for Atlanta. She really loves Atlanta. I don't know why, because I'm a Laziale fan. She's a little bit of a traitor, as long as it's not Juventus, which this is a team that we never talk about in this house, right? Anytime I talk about Juventus too, she gets a little sick to the stomach. She's looking away. She's disgusted. So Moving on. Roma and Hellas Verona. Now, Roma is really up in flames right now. I can't really say anything great about Roma. Juric, the poor guy's trying his best, but there's nothing going on there. I mean, the team is lifeless. They've kind of won that little bit of life after the Torino game, but again, that was a narrow win. And I mean, this is a team, Hellas Verona, which they're known to taking down the Giants. I mean, we saw that with Napoli in the very first game of the season, beating Napoli 3-0. So I don't know where Roma stands. I mean, I think Juric, if he does leave, it's not his fault. I think it's just the players have to take responsibility, like as everyone has said. The players need to take responsibility. Even if you put De Rossi back into the kind of lineup and as the coach and everything like that, I think the team's going to struggle still. I think the main problem, and I could be way off, is Pellegrini. Pellegrini needs to go. I know it's going to be very far, and I'm talking out of my ass. He's never going to leave because the owners love him for some stupid reason. He's never going to leave, but he's the problem. So I don't know what's going on here. I think that what they need to do is just sit down, bring up more of the youths up, which Juric is trying his best to do that. However, these players need to look back and say, listen, we are losing these games. We're not playing the Roma that we know, and we need to do better. Basically, that's what's it. So they need to make these changes. If Pellegrini does end up leaving, then that's a start. But again, we're not going to see that anytime soon. He is the captain, so to speak. That needs a change. I think they need to give the armband to someone else, not Pellegrini, not Cristante, maybe Dybala. I mean, we've seen kind of a little bit of a leadership from Dybala and stuff like that, but we can tell that it doesn't suit him. He's just a guy. He's kind of more of a lieutenant and stuff like that. So to the Inter game. Yes, and I know. Look at Julia; she's excited as well, and she literally just peed on me. That's how excited she is. When we talk about Serie A Calcio, she gets so excited that she literally just pees on me. So I mean, this is what it is, folks. So Inter and Venezia. Inter with a narrow win with Venezia. Again, this is a game where Inter should have blown Venezia out of the water. These are the types of games where you think Inter's going to come in and just blow them apart, and they end up, either drawing or winning these garbage points with 1-0 and stuff like that. And it was funny at the end of the game, the 97th minute, Venezia ended up scoring a goal, and that almost screwed up my parlay. I put Inter in my parlay. I was ready to huck my phone out the window. I was ready to flip the table. And then all of a sudden, they've called for a VAR, a check, and it ended up being that Venezia had a handball in the box when they scored that goal. So that was just, it would suck for the people that made Inter Venezia tie in a parlay. I mean, I feel bad for those guys. But for guys like me who wanted Inter to win and set up as the parlay, oh man, we felt it. We felt that couple seconds of anger and pissed off and stuff like that. So again, I think Inter, they're not winning the Scudetto this year. This is a hot take. Inter will not win the Scudetto this year, or should I say the Scudeggio this year. I think this is going to be a big bust for Inzaghi and his men. I think they're fucking focusing on other things, maybe Champions League, maybe other European competitions or Coppa Italia in that matter, right? So I think Inter are not focusing on the Scudetto as much as they want to and stuff like that. I feel like they've got something else going on here. Sorry, Joey's like literally like sleeping on my lap. But yeah, we're not done with all the games for the weekend. I mean, I know we had Fiorentina and Torino. Again, Fiorentina is another team that we are kind of impressed with. Palladino has done a great job with his team. He stopped that kind of leaky defense they had, started with the attacking. I mean, kudos to him to bring in Moise Keane over. He did want him over at Monza, which I predicted as well. It's kind of funny when I interviewed him, Marco and Mike from Italian Football TV, and I rated that transfer Keane to Monza like years back. I think it was like 2021. No, 2022 season, it was finished. Milan won the Scudetto. Monza was coming up and stuff like that. They just had their first season. Everything went well and stuff like that. And I predicted that, Keane and Pjanic would be a good signing for Monza. And they were like, oh my God, like those are cool signings and stuff like that. So it was kind of neat that last season that almost happened, but it's good to see that Keane is scoring goals and stuff like that. And that's another player that we're going to see in the Azzurri that could potentially be our new striker, right? I mean, for all we know, it could be our Tigi and Keane partnership, which I wouldn't mind. I mean, that'd be great to see. But for tomorrow's games, we're looking at Parma, Genoa, Empoli, and Como, Lazio, and Cagliari. I could give just my predictions for these teams here. I think Parma and Genoa. I think Genoa is going to give a fight. I mean, they are last in the table. I think that I believe this is Balotelli's first game, maybe second game. I'm not too sure where he stands with this, but I think if he does get some playing time with Genoa, he's going to help them a bit. Maybe not enough where he's going to save them, but it would be nice to see for them to stay in Serie A as much as everyone wouldn't want to. I don't know why. I think Genoa was a great club. So I think it's going to be a draw. I think it's going to be like a goal fest. I think it's going to be 2-2, Genoa and Parma. Empoli and Como, I think this is going to be another great game. I mean, Empoli's another dark horse or a dark pony. I wouldn't say so much of a dark horse, but I think they're like a dark kind of pony into this. I mean, they've taken down some of the big teams in Serie A. Como is another one where you're going to see a little bit of a struggle. Fabregas's men are not the greatest in form right now, but they do surprise us. So I can see another draw here. Maybe Empoli. I'm gonna say 2-1 Empoli, just because of I think Empoli has that slight edge, right? But it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be close. I think Empoli's gonna score in the very end, the dying embers of the game. And with Lazio Cagliari, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Cagliari comes out of nowhere, maybe pulls a draw. Lazio do struggle for small teams sometimes from time to time. I mean, we didn't see it with Como when they beat them, 5-1. But I think, when you have guys, playing well, banging in the goals, if Pedro Tavares, I think Tavares has got the red card, so I don't think he's going to be playing this game. But I think Lazio I think it's going to be a comfortable 3-1. I think Cagliari will pull a rabbit out of their hat, but I think it's going to be a win for Lazio. So as we look at the standings right now, like I said, Inter have gained that second place spot, but not by much. And Atalanta's like literally right behind them. Napoli staying in first, even though that defeat they had with Atlanta the past weekend. Fiorentina, Juventus, and then Lazio at sixth. So Milan was another team that I wasn't really too impressed over the weekend. I mean, they're just yes, they're winning, but it's just so sloppy. It's so sloppy. Like I can't like if your CDMs are scoring your goals, that is a problem. That is something that you guys really have to evaluate. Fonseca, sorry, is really doing his best here, trying to evaluate the team, see where he can make changes in the attack. He is bringing up the youngsters. He's very well bringing up the youth, and he believes in the youth system. But I don't know. I still think he's going to get sacked. I think he's going to go in a slew and run of games where it's not going to be the greatest, and they're going to sack him. The question is, though, will Milan go out and splash the money? I mean, are they going to get Allegri or are they going to get Sadi? Which these are the guys that, everyone has said it, that they want a preseason. They hate going to clubs mid-season. I mean, Allegri's not a guy that's going to go, back to a former club too with Milan. I mean, there was a little kind of hatred there for Milan when he switched to the rivals to Juventus, and we all saw what happened there. He won that streak of games. I mean, we all know that they all bought their cups, but I mean, that's none of my business or anything like that. Nah. But I think for him going to Milan, I don't know, that's going to be very tough. That's going to be very tough, taste in everyone's mouth. Sadi too, I don't think it's seeing him going. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe they're gonna bring up Abate. I mean, Abate is coaching a lower side team. He was with the Primavera last season, and he did impress, and he got picked up from a lower side Italian team. Who knows? But maybe Milan, they want to save money. They want to have an in between filler from now to the end of the season, and maybe they might get Abate, which was another prediction of mine of Serie A, right? So yeah. So that's all for CDR right now. I think that it's going to be heating up, and again, it's unpredictable. I mean, I played the stupid fool of betting Italian teams in my parlays, and I do it to myself. I don't know why I do it. I do end up losing it because of the Serie A teams in the games, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? So I'm addicted to that pain. Premier League action this weekend. Wow, this was a good one. There's some couple upsets here. Starting with Man City and Bournemouth. Bournemouth, they're having a crazy season. They're doing very, very well. They did a fantastic in the transfer window, picking up some very key signings there. And we look at they're sitting at a comfortable ninth, but they have potential. I mean, they could qualify for Europe. I mean, a lot of people has predicted that they're going to qualify for a European spot, but they've outmatched and outplayed Man City, which I am a Man City fan. But it's good to see. I like seeing City lose sometimes, especially to smaller teams. Sometimes, obviously, it's not the great as a fan seeing that, but I mean, it's just kind of a wake up call. It's kind of just a wake up call. It's like, okay, now we have to evaluate all of our options. We have to make sure that we're not, leaking the fence. We're not coming into games super cocky, which that's mostly the case with any City game, right? Of us winning the Premier League so many times, right? That it happens. I think it's time for Julia to say goodbye, but Julia, say bye. Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye. Okay, that's enough now. So that's my co-host Julia. Mezza Bellezza, Mezza Butana. Thanks for her. She was great. Anyways, yeah, back to the game. So yeah, Man City and Bournemouth. I mean, a great game. They all played well, but Bournemouth came on top, and that was a good game to see. Tottenham and Villa. This was a surprise. I thought Villa was gonna give Tottenham a run for their money. I really thought that Tottenham were going to struggle in this game, but it was a total opposite. They've, guns blazing, um, with goals galore, and yeah, it was just one of those games where it was just kind of you wouldn't expect. I thought it was going to be at least a draw. I was hoping maybe Villa would win, to be brutally honest, of the nice kind of streak they were going on, um, and how they kind of revolve around that team. They are sitting in a comfortable six, Aston Villa, Tottenham being right behind them. So it'd be nice to see if both of those teams make it higher up in the table. I want both of them to succeed. I mean, especially Villa, I think they deserve it. I mean, they've kind of after selling Jack Grealish to City, they took that money and they invested so well. Obviously, we didn't really prove it today, but they invested so well, and they brought in so many quality players and quality, um, coach and staff and all that stuff. So they really did a good job with that, and I hope they qualify higher up to the table. Man United and Chelsea. This was another good kind of game. It was kind of back and forth. Um, Kind of a couple cards here and there near the end. And this is going to be a long, long road for new Manchester United coach. I think he's going to do very, very well. It's going to take it's going to take some time. It's really going to take time for Ruben to kind of explore and kind of adapt. I mean, he's young. He's a young coach. He's only 39, but he's more great of a coach than a player. So he's got a long road ahead, right? Long road ahead. And Van Nistelrooy, I think he did a good job. I think Van Nistelrooy did a great job, being that caretaker, even though it's going to be a short time. I think he did a fantastic job. He was very positive, and and he wants to see Manchester United succeed, even though he's gonna not gonna be at the helm. He wants them to succeed. He wasn't a sore loser. He didn't freak out. He didn't say, "Oh, why? I should take the job," And he knew coming in that you're only going to be a very, very temporary, coach for this team. You are going to kind of fill that gap until Ruben comes in fully and stuff like that. And he understood his objective, and he went through with it, right? So Arsenal though. Arsenal. This is wow. This is craziness. Arsenal. I don't know where they stand with these guys because they're doing so well, and we might see another time of them bottling the league. Like, I mean, losing to Arsenal, you shouldn't be losing to Newcastle. Arsenal shouldn't be losing to Newcastle. I mean, these are games that you should be winning. I mean, yes, Newcastle's good. Yes, they have improved over the seasons. But again, you're Arsenal. You are the Gunners. You are Michael Arteta. You are somewhat of a tactical genius in a sense. You shouldn't be losing these types of games. So we'll see what happens. I mean, can we see another upset? Can we see another time of them bottling the league? Who knows? We'll see. Liverpool and Brighton. Liverpool are top of the table, but it was a tight game with Brighton. I think Brighton is another team that we have to watch out for this season, especially teams with Forest as well. But no, they played well, and unfortunately, they fell short with the leaders. Nottingham Forest. Now, this is a surprise to everyone. Nottingham Forest. Now, if we would have said this about a couple years ago that Nottingham Forest would be third in the Premier League, you would have called this crazy. And it's funny. One of the players, Anina, I think his name is, he's doing his post-match interview and he's got like a juice box and stuff like that, and he looks like the happiest kid in the world. It was so funny to see. But they've kind of snapped out West Ham, and it's crazy for West Ham. Alvarez picking up, I believe, his third red card of the season. It's not a good look for the Hammers at all. There is some rumors circling around that they may release their coach. They may sack their coach after a poor string of results. I mean, they look like they're flying high at one point, and then it just kind of looks like they're just not the team that we were kind of. I mean, they did beat Man United, but I mean that kind of hammering from Tottenham didn't really sit well. I mean, losing to Nottingham Forest. I mean, if they lose against Everton and Newcastle, I mean that's not right after that they're gonna have Arsenal too, right? So that's not gonna be a great look for the Hammers. But we'll see. Maybe it's too early to kind of call quits on those guys and stuff like that. So yeah, no, another great weekend of Prem football. I mean, again, I think the biggest game of the weekend was the Bournemouth to Man City game after that upset, and then we had a little bit of a goal fest between the Wolves and Crystal Palace. Moving on to League. Marseille beating Nantes 2-1. I mean, Marseille is another team that I strive for, and I want them to do better. They're sitting at second place. Um, I think they're. I hope they do well. I mean, they are 6 points adrift of the leaders PSG, which PSG, I'm very surprised that they're doing this well without the quality of players they did have, like Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe. I thought they were gonna struggle, but no, they're using their youths and they're doing a good job with that. So nothing too crazy of the league um, weekend except for Auxerre smashing Reims 4-0. I mean, this is a team that is we're used to seeing playing in Ligue 2 or Ligue 2 or whatever you want to say in French, do whatever. Um, but yeah, it's just it's kind of a predictable league, but not really. But we'll see. So we're gonna move on to the Bundesliga. Unten gegen die Bayern Munich killing Union Berlin 3-0, and Frankfurt, Frankfurt going to town to Bochum. I mean, this is a team where it's very good to see. We like to see these guys do well. This is another team that has the potential of being kind of a Leverkusen, where I mean maybe they don't go undefeated, but they could win the league. I mean, one day soon they could win the league. I mean, we kind of saw little hints of that of the a couple of years ago and stuff like that. But they're the Prince of Egypt, or sort of. I mean, that guy's amazing. This guy's gonna do wonders. I mean, hopefully, he does stay for another season past this one, so he can establish himself even more. I hope. Obviously, you want to see good players move on to bigger clubs, but the thing is that once they do that, like 8 times out of 10, they just shit the bed and they do so poorly, and they have to get loaned back to the previous club or get loaned to like a lesser club to get more playing time and kind of regain themselves. So hopefully, like if he does move, then you know he's gonna do well, right? Frankfurt beating Bochum 7-2, and Dortmund, my boys Dortmund. This is what I mean with these guys. They lose these BS games, but when they go against bigger clubs like Lesbing, which they won over 2-1, and it was a good game. But that's what I mean. It's just crazy. It's like they're one step ahead and then 5 steps back. Like, why do they do this to themselves? I don't get it. I don't get it. And then we're going to wrap things up with La Liga. La Liga, La Liga, La Liga. Atletico butting out Las Palmas, which is a good sign because they did lose against Real Betis a little while back. So it's good to see these guys pick up some points. Real Sociedad shutting out Sevilla 2-0. And Barca, again, the league leaders beating Espanyol 3-1 against the rivalry there, the derby. I think that Barcelona, again, I think there's no changes in La Liga. I think Barcelona will end up winning La Liga. Um, and the Valencia and Real Madrid game was postponed because of the Valencia floods. So prayers go out to the victims of Valencia. Um, but as we look here and all of the kind of games, kind of up and down, nothing too crazy. I mean, Girona had a close game. It's 4-3. They barely got alive out of there. But Real Madrid. Let's talk about Real Madrid a little bit. Let's talk about Vinicius Jr. Um, just a hot take with this. A lot of people ask me what was my take on the whole kind of Ballon d'Or. A lot of mixed feelings on that. Did I really think Rodri should have won? I'm gonna be honest. No, no. Um, some other players were much deserving into that. I'm not gonna say who. Just is what it is. It doesn't really matter now. Um, but yeah, I would wanted someone else to win that. Again, nothing against Rodri. I don't want to take anything away from the guy. I mean, he does have that resume and he does have that quality of being a world class player. I think he's one of the best kind of CDMs in the world right now, and he will be for a very long time. Obviously, he's way better than Busquets in Busquets' prime. I never liked Busquets anyways, so there you go. But Vinicius Jr., I mean, did he deserve it? Yeah, okay, he deserved it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's the stats on paper. However, you don't show up to the Ballon d'Or. So I don't care what excuse it was. I don't care if it was all BS. Now, with the Ballon d'Or, these guys know if they're going to win or not. I don't care what anybody says. You could try to convince me otherwise. It's all a bunch of BS. Guys know if they're going to win it or not. I mean, in 2013, when Ribéry got robbed, and it was a robbery. It was. I mean, even though, it was either it was Messi or Ronaldo that year. I can't remember who it was. Either the two. Yes, Ribéry got robbed. He had a stellar season. It was he got robbed. He got robbed. But he knew. He knew he wasn't gonna win. These guys know about like a week or two before if they're gonna win it or not. They pulled the element surprise just to make it more interesting. And Vinicius, he knew. He knew he didn't win, and he was being a sore loser. He's a sore loser. I'm sorry. You are a sore loser. Okay, you go there to support your fellow, not countrymen or maybe you should support your fellow rival. I mean, why not? I mean, they do play on opposite ends. I mean, maybe not in the league, obviously, but maybe in an international stage. I mean, they could be rivals, Spain, Brazil. But you don't just not show up. Like you got to show face, man. Like you're a sore loser. That just gives them a bad taste of the mouth of the FIFA and the rankings and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, it's them. They control everything, right? It's not just the players. So I think that Vinicius was a big time sore loser for not showing up. And it's funny, Aragon, the king of Gondor. Okay, Viggo Mortensen, the actor that played Aragorn from, we all know, the beloved Lord of the Rings trilogy, said that Vinicius is a baby. He's a baby of what he has done. I think he said in a Spanish interview, Viggo Mortensen is fluent in a bajillion languages. He's fluent in Spanish. And I think he was promoting a new movie that he's doing in Spain, something like that. And he was interviewed, and football came up, and the Ballon d'Or ceremony came up, and he just said that Vinicius Jr. is a baby, being a sore loser, something along those lines, that for not showing up the Ballon d'Or. And he's right; he's completely right. I mean, again, this is gonna put a mark on your resume as a footballer. You should be cheering. I mean, win or lose, you should be cheering on your fellow. Sportsman or whatever you want to call it, right? You should not just show up and give this kind of intimidating bullshit message out on Instagram and saying, oh, I'll come back and blah, blah, blah. If you want to do it for motivation, great. But don't do it as a sense of like, I'm going to get you guys back. You know what I mean? Do it for motivation. Do it for yourself. So that's my kind of take with this and stuff like that. So before I go, Mourinho, this is why I love you, man. Mo is back, baby. Even though it's in the Turkish league and people talk smack about the Turkish league, it's not the same. But Mo being Mo, I'm going to put a clip of that at the end of this episode, right after this. But this is so great. Mo being Mo. Fenerbahce playing Trabzonspor, and it was a very tight game. And they had, I think it was like 93, 94 plus 7. Anyways, it was like 102 minutes or something. Ref's about to blow the whistle, and Fenerbahce break the deadlock, winning the kind of the derby, the rivalry game, big game in Turkish football and stuff like that. And it was funny. Everyone's getting escorted out. There's like, a fight broke out and everything like that. And then Mourinho in front of the rival fans, you might say, just kind of pointing up and pointing at them, going like this, just like the good old days when he did that to Barcelona when he coached Inter Milan in the Champions League semifinal. That was just great to see. I love Mo. I love his shithousery. That's just good to see. I mean, I just got off the topic of talking about sore losers and stuff like that, but that's good banter. That's something different. That's good banter. We love Mo. We love his moments and stuff like that. He backs his shit up in a sense of that. So that was very good to see. But anyways, guys, this concludes our episode of the Kicking Cleats podcast. And guys, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the Serie A a little bit. My Serie A fans, tell me what you think. Who will be ultimately the Serie A contenders? Who's going to win the Scudetto? Is it going to be Napoli? Is it going to be Inter? Could we see an upset? Could we see Atalanta finally lifting that Serie A Scudetto? Guys, this is Ferdinando Villani, your host. Mangia, beve, fregdenne, Kicking Cleats. I'm out.
2-2'den sonra öne geçebilirdi. Fenerbahçe'de öyle pozisyonlar yaşandı ki Jose Mourinho, Livakovic